Heyo, folks. It's time for an update in the Delphi case. The defense has filed a bunch of motions ahead of the trial. I'm going through one of these in this show. It's the motion to suppress the accused's second statement. And it has to do with his first and second interrogation. So, let's get on with it, and welcome to the show. All right, let's get this show on the road. Motion to suppress the accused's second statement. Yep, comes now. The accused, Richard Allen, by and through counsel, and move this court to suppress all statements from his October 26, 2022 interrogation at the hands of law enforcement Jerry Holman, who failed to read Rick Allen his Miranda rights. Listen to this again. Who failed to read Rick Allen his Miranda rights. While yelling and swearing at Rick Allen, lying to Rick Allen, and attempted to intimidate Rick Allen behind closed door in a tiny interrogation room at the Lafayette Police blah, blah, blah. Now, this is sadly standard police work. Police can lie in your face. They can scream in your face. They can be intimidating. All of that depends on how the judge see it. But sadly, it's standard damn practice. And it's infuriating. Especially the part about police are allowed to lie. Except Islamic states and communist states, I believe the United States is one of few where the government, yes, police officers are government officials, where the government can lie to you in order to get a reaction and then try to convict you based on your response. I don't know why, but it held up in the Supreme Court, so not much you can do about it. I think it's a horrible practice. Additionally, a key portion of the videotaped interrogation provided to the defense is missing. Yeah, that's kind of a red thread in the investigation. The missing portion of that video is the beginning of the interrogation when Miranda should have been read. Now, how many here believes that is a coincidence? No hands? No, I don't think so either. Sadly, we already know that Judge Gull, whatever's, doesn't care. Because she doesn't care about law, due process. She cares about helping the prosecution convicting people. That's all she cares for. So sadly, I can say to you already now, this motion will be denied. But the defense has to file these for appellate issues. In support of said motion, the accused states the following. First interrogation. 1. Law enforcement officer requested Rick Allen to appear at the Delphi police station to answer questions, and on October 30th, 2022, Allen voluntarily went to the station and sat down with police thinking he was assisting them in solving the Delphi murders, since he had been on the trails early on the day that the victims disappeared. Rick wanted to help out in any way he could, and that is clear in the video. The video was previously provided to the court on September 18th, 2023. The October 26, 2017 interview is being sent to the court overnight via certified mail for the court's review. This is excellent. Why? Because that should show if Mr. Allen made any inconsistent statements. You know, the thing that the investigators and the judge denied Mr. Allen. So the attorneys for Mr. Allen here is doing good thing. They are not stooping to the depth of hell that the prosecution and the judge does by not, yeah, you know about it. The first 70 days of interviews gone because the police department in Delphi are incompetent. Let's just say incompetent at the moment. 2. The 2 officers that interviewed Rick Allen on that day were Tony Liggett and Steve Mullen. Yeah, who I like to call Kling and Clang, because it's like slamming your head against a big gong. Lot of noise, and that's about it. Rick was read his Miranda rights at the first interrogation and signed an advisement of rights form, which is normal protocol for law enforcement before an interrogation begins. This is a mistake. If you read Miranda rights, shut up immediately and ask for a lawyer. You do not need to have your Miranda rights read to you if you are there for an interview when you're trying to help. If they are reading you your Miranda rights, it means you are a suspect. And you should clam up immediately. Not legal advice. Just really, really good general advice. For the first roughly 3/4 of the interview, it is apparent from the interview Rick believed he was assisting the police in their investigation and search for those that murdered the victim in the Delphi case. Ta-da! Now, this is Mr. Allen in 2017. The investigators went out, please help us. Mr. Allen tried to help. In 2022 here, they asked him to come in to help. Also known as they lied, because they are liars. And sadly, once he was read his Miranda rights, he didn't clam up. The thing he should have done, in my opinion, is am I a suspect of a crime? If they said no, then no Miranda rights are needed. This is foul tactics from law enforcement, in my opinion. Write in the comments below or in the chat if you believe I'm way out of line. I don't think I am. However, number 5 here. However, eventually, when it became obvious that Liggett and Mullen were actually pointing the finger at Rick Allen as the killer, at one point in the interview, Rick said, quote, I don't want to be somebody's fall guy, and we're going to try to make pieces of a puzzle fit somewhere they don't fit so we can close this thing. I'm not saying you guys, please don't think I'm questioning your integrity. That's not what I'm saying. End quote. Oh, damn, Mr. Allen, you should have just shut up. If you read your Miranda rights, your reply is, am I under arrest? If they claim no, then you don't need your Miranda rights read to you at all. If they still do it, there are a few words you need to say. I want a lawyer. And then I assert my Sixth Amendment rights to remain silent. That's about it. Sadly, not many people do that because most people want to help, even when it gets apparent that cops are trying to frame you. Number 6. However, when the Liggett and Mullen amped up the intensity of their questioning, even positioning their bodies closer to Rick said the following, quote, It's over. I was perfectly fine. I was cooperating. I was going to give you my phone, and then, when you started reading all these documents, that's at the here's my thing is, I feel like you guys think I done this, so I'm done. You do what you need to do. It's a job. I understand that, but you better effing leave my reputation out of it. So you do what you need to do, and then, like I said, when you do find this guy, I'll expect the apology. Rick then described how the police were trying to ruin his reputation by accusing him of the murders in public, even groping him as they patted him down in the street. Rick was expressing that the mere act of mentioning his name as a possible killer or patting him down on a public street as if he were a criminal would ruin his reputation and was greatly upsetting. Yeah. But that, sadly, is what cops do. I will repeat myself. The moment they read your Miranda rights, you are a suspect of a crime. And you should clam up, assert your Sixth Amendment rights, and ask for a lawyer. That's it. Clam up. Number 7. Leggett and Mullin did read Rick Allen his Miranda rights before they began their interrogation, and additionally, Rick Allen was aware that he had freedom of movement as Rick, ultimately stood up and walked out of the interrogation room. Apparently, he wasn't under arrest, but they still read him in Miranda rights, just in case. Number 8. However, at the end of the interview, that turned into an aggressive interrogation. Rick made it clear that he no longer wanted to talk to law enforcement. 9. Within hours of the first interrogation, Leggett drafted an affidavit for search warrant. Judge Daimler then signed the warrant to search Rich's home and vehicle. On that day, Rick Allen's vehicle was also seized. Yeah, Leggett's draft of an affidavit for a search warrant had some lies in it. And he conveniently forgot some crucial facts. Why? Because when cops zone in on what they believe is a suspect, they don't care what all the other evidence says. They just present the really narrow bit to get a search warrant. And then it gets rubber stamped. Number 10. The defense will not be seeking this first interrogation to be suppressed. Exactly, because he was read his Miranda right. Second interrogation. Here comes the interesting part. On October 13, 2022, Kathy Allen, Rick's wife, and Rick Allen asked the state police when they could pick up their vehicle that had been seized. They were told they could pick it up in a couple of days. So the first interrogation was, the affidavits, blah, 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 blah. On October 17th, 2022, either Kathy or Rick contacted the state police to determine how and when they could get their vehicle back that had been seized, as they were in need of that vehicle, as Kathy and Rick were having difficulty sharing only one vehicle as they worked in 2 different places and needed 2 vehicles. Yeah, no worries. After a few phone calls with state police, finally, on October 26, Rick and Kathy were scheduled to arrive at the state police post in West Lafayette at 9 a.m. to pick up their vehicle. Number 14. On October 26, 2022, Rick Allen drove with Kathy to the West Lafayette police post to retrieve their vehicle that had been seized 13 days earlier by law enforcement. By the way, this is the same vehicle that Mr. Allen used in 2016. Apparently, since there's no mention of it anywhere, besides the claim that it looks like either a smart car or a PT Cruiser, not a shred of evidence in that car, as I've heard. 15. State police have told Rick and Kathy that upon arrival their car would be released, but never mentioned anything about additional questioning. Of course not, because sadly, again, they just wanted Rick to to the police station. That's it. They had no intention of releasing the car because cops are allowed to lie. When Rick and Kathy arrived at the station, Holman met them at the front and said he had just a few things he wanted to clear up before he released the vehicle. Holman requested Rick to follow into the interrogation room without Kathy. Rick complied. Mistake again. After what happened on the first interrogation, No, just no. 17. Kathy was allowed to participate in the questioning. She was told she could wait in the lobby. Rick arrived with Holman into the interview room. 19. However, for unknown reasons, the video provided to the defense is missing the beginning portion of the interview, when procedural matters are typically handled by law enforcement, such as the reading of the Miranda rights, advisement of rights, and confirming with the suspect that he is free to leave if, in fact, the suspect is free to leave. Yeah, or that part coincidentally missing. Why? I assume because they forgot. And instead of doing the right thing, they did what these bad cops do. They destroy evidence, in my opinion. In this case, either A, the camera was only turned on after they, Holman and Rick, were already minutes into the interview because the video provided to the defense does not show Holman and Rick entering the room, sitting down, and beginning the interrogation, or B, the camera was recording the entire time, but the beginning of the interview was later edited out before being turned over to the defense in February of 2024. See here? This wasn't released to the defense until February of 2024, after they were reinstated. This should have been provided to the defense. Well, I believe the the last day of turning over discovery was in October 31st or November, somewhere around there. So they are about 4 months late with this discovery, and stuff are missing. And why is stuff missing in this case? Well, it's either because the cling and clangs of the Delphi police are utterly incompetent and can't work any type of evidence, or they are incompetent and wants to hide their incompetence by destroying evidence. In my opinion, I believe the latter. 21. Either way, the beginning of the interaction between Holman and Rick in the interrogation room, when introductions are typically made and Miranda rights are always reviewed, is missing. In the 70-plus years of experience between co-counsels, this is highly unusual, especially on a high-profile case of this nature. 22. The defense has not been provided with any report explaining the missing part of the video. Tough fucking da. I said fork. I love as a spoon and fork. YouTube's. I said fork. Tough fucking da. 23. To make matters more suspicious, Holman claims in his November 1st, 2022 report, memorializing his October 26th interrogation of Rick Allen, the following. Quote, I asked Mr. Allen if he remembered the other detectives reading him his Miranda rights, and he said yes. I told him he was free to go at any time and that the door was unlocked. Who were those others? Holman's report doesn't identify who the other investigators are that purportedly reviewed Miranda with Rick. Home Alone face. Holman's report doesn't detail when, where, or how these purported investigators purportedly reviewed Miranda with Rick. Holman's words quoted in paragraph 23 above appear nowhere on the video. In other words, Holman is not shown asking Rick Allen about his rights, nor is Holman viewed telling Rick Allen he is free to leave. In his report, Holman indicates that those words were stated to Rick Allen at the very beginning of the interview. The beginning of the interview is missing. Voine. The defense have diligently searched through the discovery for any Miranda waiver rights form signed by Rick Allen on October 26, 2022. The defense have found none. Exactly. If you read Miranda rights in that room, you're also being signed a waiver or any form to say also missing. What does that tell me? It tells me that Detective, what's his face, Holman, is an asshole. Yeah, YouTube, I said it. 29. The defense have diligently searched through the discovery for any reports by state troopers who were on duty that day, such as Jay Harper and David Vito, who would have potentially read Ricky's Miranda rights on October 26, 2022. The defense has found no such report. If you read somebody their Miranda rights, you have to write a report. One of the big things that cops complain about is all the paperwork they have to fill in. But good cops still fill it in. The cops in this case seems to be not so good. 30. Just as Brad Holder's February 17, 2017 interview is missing, just as the mimicked crime scene found on Holder's social media page is missing and still has not been turned over to the defense, but the defense thankfully located in Georgia, and just as Rick's original tape statement to Dan Julian in front of a grocery store in February 2017 is missing. Shock Pikachu face. The beginning portion of Holman's interview with Rick Allen is also missing. It seems to be a pattern, doesn't it? The defense has diligently searched through the discovery for audio or video by any law enforcement from October 26, 2022, in which it can be seen or heard that Rick Allen was read his Miranda rights or told that he was free to leave. The defense has found none. And I assume they don't find it because it doesn't exist. Therefore, at this time, it appears to the defense that Jerry Holman's claims in his report that Rick Allen was asked about his Miranda rights and told he was free to leave are false. And that key video evidence that would prove as much is missing. 33. The following are true and accurate depictions of what occurred at Allen's October 26, 2022 interrogation, as shown on the videotape of said interrogation that was not missing or deleted, but was actually provided to the defense. On video, Holman never read Rick Allen's Miranda rights, nor mentioned them to Rick Allen. Rick Allen was placed in a tiny confined room without windows. Rick Allen was placed in a tiny confined room and Holman shut the door. Rick Allen was placed in a tiny confined room with Jerry Holman while the door was shut. They are really specific now. They have to go into minute details of what is seen in this video. A considerable size difference existed between Rick Allen and Jerry Holman. Yeah, Rick Allen, 5'5". Jerry Holman, I don't care. But apparently bigger. A power differential existed as Holman was a state trooper in his home court, Lafayette Police Post, while Rick Allen was a CVS worker from Delphi who had only driven to West Lafayette to pick up a vehicle he and his wife needed for transportation. Rick Allen was never told he was being videotaped. When Jerry Holman would leave the room, he told Rick Allen to sit tight at the 9:25 and 45:20 marks, or hang on 1 second at the 16:40 mark. In other words, Jerry Holman told Rick Allen that he could not leave. When Jerry Holman would leave the door and tell Rick to sit tight, he would shut the door. Jerry Holman lied to Rick Allen during the interrogation several times, including the following. And as I said earlier, sadly, this is a law and standard practice. Why? Laziness and Supreme Court bad decision. At the 7:10 mark, Jerry Holman told Rick Allen that, quote, "We have experts that say that's you on the bridge and that's your voice in the video. There's no evidence that supports this statement. Jerry Holman lied to Rick Allen." At the 15:25 mark, Holman told Rick Allen that, quote, "Experts are saying that's you on the video and experts are saying you said down the hill. No evidence supports this." 15:07 mark, Holman tells Rick that witnesses saw a gun in his pocket. False. Completely false. At the 39:05 mark, Holman states, quote, "I'm not lying to you about anything. Everything I'm telling you is fact. The experts say you said go down the hill." This is Holman lying about not lying. And sadly, cops are allowed to. Again, it's stupid, but allowed. At the 42:33 mark, Holman said, "I'm not lying to you, Rick. That's unethical." Yeah, we know, Holman, about your stance of ethics. It's non-exist. Your ethics are non-existent, Mr. Holman. Jerry Holman told Rick Allen in what was supposed to be an exploratory interview, "The prosecutor and the other investigators that want to see you lock you up and throw away the key." Sorry. Jerry Holman barked at Rick Allen in what was supposed to be an exploratory interview. "If you don't tell me, you're going down for this." Jerry Holman told Rick Allen in what was supposed to be an exploratory interview, "Do you realize the death penalty is on the table for this?" Now we are getting into things that is way beyond unethical, but I don't know the Indiana rules on this. What exactly you can threaten with, but I assume it's allowed. At various times, Jerry Holman yelled at Rick Allen, including using profanity-laced language while accusing Rick Allen for the murders. Rick Allen asked Holman to stop the interview. Rick said, "I'm done," early into the interrogation at the 12:05 mark, but Holman continued his interrogation. The state police never turned over the vehicle to Kathy Allen after Rick Allen was arrested. Returning the vehicle to Rick and Kathy was merely a subterfuge. Yeah, they lied. The law. The Indiana Supreme Court dealt with a very similar fact pattern in State v. ER 2019, which reversed the Indiana Appellate Court, holding that ER's constitutional rights had been violated, therefore suppressing his statements. I assume this is about Miranda rights. Okay, no, here they explain it, sorry. In State v. ER, the accused had voluntarily driven to the police station at the request of the police to answer a question concerning an allegation of inappropriate touching. Similarity. In this case, Allen voluntarily arrived at the station to pick up a vehicle, but unlike ER, Allen was unaware that he would be asked questions once he arrived at the Lafayette police post, which makes Allen's case somewhat worse than the case law they are citing. 36. The following occurred when ER was interrogated compared to when Rick Allen was interrogated. ER was interrogated in a small windowless room. Same with Rick Allen. Law enforcement officers failed to provide Miranda warnings to ER. And here comes the what Judge Gull will do. We already know this, but she says, well, you can prove it because there's no video of it. And Mr. Holman says that somebody else read him his rights. And that's good enough for her. Why? Because Judge Gull doesn't believe in due process or the law. She believes in convicting people with any means necessary. In ER's interrogation, law enforcement actually told ER that ER was able to walk out of the interrogation room door if he wanted. ER was also told that he did not have to even talk to law enforcement if he didn't want to. Still, the Indiana Supreme Court found that even with those particular statements by law enforcement, it was not enough to cause ER to feel free to leave. In contrast to ER's interrogation, Rick Allen's interrogation on video, Jerry Holman never told Rick Allen that he was free to leave, nor did Jerry Holman ever tell Rick that he did not have to talk with law enforcement. Here's the thing, all this is based on not being read the Miranda rights. And sadly, we already know what Judge Gull will do with this. She will be Judge Google. In ER, the police significantly undercut any initial message of freedom when they dramatically changed the interrogation atmosphere when a second officer entered the room and became more excessive. There's a slight difference here. There were only one officer involved, Holman. The interrogation was started in a much calmer manner before amping up the intensity, ultimately erupting with cursing and yelling at Rick Allen. The officer The officer did not tell ER that ER wasn't under arrest. Holman never told Rick Allen wasn't under arrest. In fact, when Rick Allen continually denied having anything to do with the murders, as well as words to the effect that Holman had made up his mind, so go ahead and arrest me, Holman never told Rick, you are not under arrest. Still goes back to Miranda rights. Police never told ER that he could end the interrogation at any time. Holman never told Rick Allen that he could end the interrogation at any time. Yeah, that's kind of a part of, even if he has read the Miranda rights, Mr. Allen should be told you can stop this at any moment. Should. The officers repeatedly told ER to explain what happened, coaxing him to tell us now so we know that you're being honest with us and not lying. Holman repeatedly told Rick Allen to explain what happened and attempted to coax Rick Allen to talk to him for a variety of reasons. And this goes all and all. And here is some from the video from Jerry Holman. You're going to drag your effing wife and your daughter through this because you're too effing bullheaded to get out in front of this and admit you made a mistake. And whatever the F happened out there, we'll never effing know because you're too big of a effing inaudible. Then, Jerry Holman, the evidence clearly indicates you are involved in this. Rick Allen, no. Jerry, it effing does. Rick, it doesn't. I'm telling you that there is no way that a bullet from my gun was used in these murders. Jerry, and I'm telling you that we had this effing round on February 14th, 2017. And it's been secured in a effing laboratory and we tested other guns. That's a lie because they did not have that round on February 14th. They retrieved that on February 18th, I believe. So that is, I mean, you can lie about much, but that, well, Jerry could have been mistaken. I don't think so, but it's not outside of the realm of possibilities because Jerry Holman is an ass. Rick Allen, you could have taken it from somewhere else then because it's not possible. Jerry Holman, I did not take it from somewhere else. It was logged in, it was taken, it was photographed. You think we effing took around and threw it down the dead girl's foot? This ain't effing TV. This is realistic. Rick, I'm telling you, I can't explain something that, Jerry Holman, and I'm telling you that effing analyst explained it. You can't get past this. Jerry Holman, I'm not on video. Rick, neither am I. Jerry, 4 or 5 witnesses didn't see me out there. Rick, me either. Which is, a description that somewhat matches him. Jerry, my round of my gun wasn't 6 inches away from a dead girl. Rick, mine either. Jerry Holman, I don't think you're a bad person. Rick, what kind of a good person kills 2 people? Rick Allen, you're going to pay for what you've done to my wife. You want to F with me, but you leave my wife out of this. Leave me out of this. Jerry, no, you're involved with this. Your effing round is there, Rick. Rick, no, it's not. Jerry, you're guilty of something. You're guilty and I know it and I'm going effing prove it. That's interesting. this line here, you're guilty of something. Because remember, even at this time, there were officers who believed there must have been more than one assailant. And this line here shows it. The claim here is somewhat, even if you didn't do the deed, you were there. That is my interpretation of it. So even Jerry Holman doesn't believe that there was only one assailant. Then you have the police questioning was prolonged, lasting almost an hour. Holman's questioning of Allen was nearly 3 times longer than law enforcement questioned ER. Holman's prolonged questioning lasted 2 hours and 41 minutes. Blah, 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 blah. Of course, that represents the length of the questioning that was actually videotaped. Since there is missing videotape, the entire length of questioning is unknown. The questioning was sustained and drawn out over time, especially when compared to roadside traffic stop questioning. The officer continued the interrogation of ER past the time he was supposed to pick up his daughter. Rick went to the station to pick up his vehicle, but Holman never mentioned anything about where or how Rick or his wife were to pick up the car. At the conclusion of the interrogation, ER was allowed to leave and return home. The fact is mentioned in the Court of Appeals opinion, but not the Supreme Court opinion. Rick Allen was not free to leave as he was handcuffed and arrested on camera after over 2 hours and 40 minutes of denying involvement in the endings. The facts involving Holman's handling of Rick Allen's interrogation are more egregious than those facts in ER in several ways. Yes, but sadly it comes down to the Miranda rights. And again, we already know what Judge Gould will do. We already know. She doesn't care. She will use the fact that the investigators are deleting evidence to say, as she did with the 70 days missing in the beginning of this case, since the defense can't prove, she's not going to do anything about it. Sadly, sadly. And then it goes on and on and on. Wherefore, the accused, Rick Allen, requests this court to suppress all statements made by Rick Allen at his October 26, 2022 interrogation and to issue a finding that Jerry Holman and the state police violated Rick Allen's constitutional rights. Respectfully submitted, Andrew J. Baldwin. Now, what will happen with this? Well, sadly, we already know. Judge Gould will deny it, as she has done anything else, almost anything else. Because she doesn't believe in due process. She believes in convicting people with any means necessary, and she more or less is she's a part of the prosecution's team, sadly. But that was the motion to suppress Mr. Allen's statements in his second interrogation. Now, I don't think the interrogation in itself is particularly bad for Mr. Allen. This is excerpt from that, from 2 hours and 40 minutes plus. I don't know what else is said there, but this is what they show. So, in my opinion, should it be suppressed? Yes, clearly. Will it? No, because Judge Gould is Judge Gould. All right, that was my update on the Delphi case. As it draws nearer, I will do more updates. The trial is set for May 13, scheduled for 3 weeks over Memorial Weekend. Yeah. And we won't be able to stream from that trial because Judge Gould does not want her incompetence scrutinized by us, by me, by anyone. She wants to stay in the shadows and hope that her incompetence, her lack of ethics, her disregard of due process, her pissing on the Constitution and Bill of Rights will go as unnoticed as possible. I don't want that. I want this as much publicized as we possibly can. And here's where you come in, folks. Share it. Watch other law tubers, true crime tubers videos on this. Give them a thumbs up as well. Make this noticeable. Make it break through all the other cases that are out there. Please. Thank you for listening. Until next time, hug your family. Unless your family is crap, then screw them and give your love to the people who deserve it. Bye-bye.